everyone, I'm Elisa from Loose TV. I'm here with the organisers of Braguncinha, LSE and the University of London's own Carnival festivities. They're going to be talking about the history of Carnival and why it is that they decided to bring or create Braguncinha. So I guess my first question is, why Braguncinha? Why did you give it that name and why did you decide to create it in the first place?
Should I?
Yeah, please take it away.
Okay, so Braguncinha. So why bring it? It's an interesting question. So Carnival is the biggest party in Brazil. Like by far, it's the biggest celebration. It's the happiest and greatest moment in Brazil of the year. And we had a history of having carnival parties here at LSE prior to the pandemic, but they were smaller. They were usually they would go to a restaurant and celebrate there and eat Brazilian food, drink Brazilian drinks and cocktails. And then during the pandemic, it of course ended, as did Carnival in Brazil itself. It was, of course, it's a celebration that we go to the streets and we have fun and we drink and we are very close to each other. So we could not do that during the pandemic. And then this year we decided to bring it back. We decided we should bring it back. We decided we had to celebrate it. And we decided that we wanted to make it bigger. I would dare say that this is the biggest carnival party of LSE, like,
yeah, absolutely.
in its history, because it's gonna be very different from what it was before. So we have a venue, we have live samba band, we have DJs, we have Brazilian dancers, we have Brazilian food, we have Brazilian cocktails, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be a party that we're organizing. And then why Braguncinha? It's interesting. So because so in Portuguese, bagunça is a mess. So we usually say like let's make a bagunça, let's make a baguncinha, which is like let's make a little mess. But it's in the sense of having a party, have a chill time, and getting away from the organized life that we have to have, like from our work 9 to 5 and studying. So let's make a baguncinha. Usually in Brazil it means like let's have a party, let's have a good time.
Like a good chaos.
Yeah.
Like a fun time to go out and
Good
just
organized chaos.
be all around, like dance like no one's watching.
Yeah.
Just do what you want.
So that's a baguncinha. And then we just used the Braguncinha just because of Brazil, of course.
Yeah.
And we thought it was a good play with words, and hopefully people can understand it, and hopefully they can get excited for it as much as we are.
Are you guys excited to hear all the British people saying Braguncinha?
Yeah.
Very much so. All pronunciations are welcome.
They are.
And can you guys tell me a little bit about the history of Carnival in Brazil? What is it?
I think Louisa will take this one.
So Carnival actually started with the colonizers. It was brought by the Portuguese when they arrived to Brazil. So we can imagine that the celebration started around like 1600s when you had like little towns, the capitanias. And it's really interesting because they brought this practice from Portugal named Intrudo, which is basically go on the streets, be all silly and throw stuff at each other, make fun of each other, which included like water mixed with dirt or like smelling substances or even weed. So, and it was a practice that everyone was involved, from the elites to the working class to the slaves. Everybody was allowed to participate, of course separated in the sectors of society, but everyone were allowed to celebrate this period of Carnival. But what happened was that in 1808, the Portuguese royal family, they come to Brazil, and so they bring the trends from Europe. And Intrudo, which became especially a popular practice, started to be criminalized. So, oh, this is very uncivilized, this is very aggressive, this is ridiculous, this is not cool, this is not what people are doing. So they brought the masquerades, the balls from France and Italy that were trending back then, if you think about the Carnival in Venice. And then, yeah, it's pretty much it, that they started like to persecute people that were doing the intrudos and trying to establish their own new traditions, doing the elites meeting, the carnival societies, and the members of the royalty and the upper classes. And then, a little by little, that started to contaminate also the most popular sectors of society, and they started to organize as well. They get organized and they started doing parades and meet up for Carnival and do the celebration. I would dare to say that the idea of Entrudo never went really away, because it was always about dancing, about making fun of each other. We still have a lot of traditional things like bate-bolas, for example, in the Rio Carnival. There are these men that come with masks and they scare you away. It's very fun. So the traditions changed a little bit over the course of the time, but still, like, something remains from the history. And nowadays, Carnival is everywhere. It was everywhere back then, it's still everywhere now. Everybody celebrates, all the sectors of society are welcome. For example, we have the summer schools in Rio that are specially organized by communities, by favelas as well. So it's a party for everyone. So this is more or less the idea of Carnival. It started with the colonizers, but I would say that people took, power over it, and they made it their celebration.
And they brought music and
music.
made it.
In the beginning,
so
it was mostly like European music. It's quite boring, but then little by little they started like creating the marchinhas. We have Chiquinha Gonzaga that made the first marchinha, which is I don't know how to like adapt, how to maybe we can add a
more
marchinha to this video.
percussion-based rhythm.
Yeah.
Where you get to, it's almost like a march, but again with the Braguncinha, so very disorganized, fun marching.
I think the idea of the machines is that they have to give people, because Carnival is on these streets, people are walking, they're not in a certain place, like stop there. So Marchinha is like, we will be walking and dancing and having
and
fun.
sing,
so like, it needs to be a song that keeps people energized.
And it keeps a rhythm, so everyone's
and
at the same
singing,
velocity.
And singing all together, And this is, that's basically the idea. So like each, we call block or cordão, so that's organization of people that will go out on the streets all together. They will have their own music, their own songs, and that would give them the identity of that certain community or that certain area of the city. That's no problem. And then you added samba, for example, in Rio. In Bahia, for example, you have axé. Olinda is very known for maracatu, and then Recife, with the frevo. So everyone kind of like adapted to their own ways in history.
I just want to ask about the class dynamics that you mentioned beforehand, and maybe how that's translated to today, and specifically with the popularity of funk, and how that works in tandem with Carnival and the party. Can I take this one?
Yeah, of course.
With the popularity of Carnival, something really nice, as Lisa was saying, is how you have the blocos and everyone goes out in the street, and these are organized in line with the government as well. So people are going from point A to point B. There are like times for different bloquinhos. You can find this really easily, and there's something for everyone. It's, she said, it's all about everyone coming together, mixing, and so you have blocos which are dedicated to MPB, which is like popular Brazilian music, like pop. Brazilian pop. You have blocos dedicated to rock.
The Beatles, the
in
Beatles.
Brazil, Sargento Pimenta, Peppers.
Not Dr. Pepper.
No, Sergeant Pepper. Sergeant Pepper. Sergeant Pimenta. That they literally play Beatles in like samba, marchinha, sound.
It's a huge one in here.
And you also get funky ones, just like any other, and pop ones. 100% there's someone singing Taylor Swift in a block, without a shadow of a doubt. And with funky, it brings probably. There's everything.
But the emo block in São Paulo, that's brilliant.
We have nowadays. We also have LGBT. QIA plus bloquinhos. There's a massive one in São Paulo, which is about like Greek goddesses that happened this year and stuff. So you had everyone dressed up in Greek Roman clothing, going out, But I think it's also important to touch on on the subject that Brazil does still have the highest number of LGBTQIA plus homicides. But there's a large push for acceptance, and Carnival is one of the prime moments to do that. But if you want to discuss more about funky, I think.
Yeah, no, this is really interesting because, as you said about the LGBTQIA plus community, we have that for funk and for the working class and the poor people in Brazil, because oftentimes you see funk being criminalized and being pushed to, oh, this is music from the favelas, from the poor. And Carnival is always also a moment where these people are free to celebrate that. While funk would be criminalized in many places and in many times of the year, during Carnival, people are free to dress as they want, they're free to dance as they want, they're free to celebrate their music. And that happens also in this block that is set of the LGBT community, is that people at that point, they are free to be themselves. And Carnival, I think a huge part of Carnival is being free to be yourself and to express yourself the way you want to, without people judging you in any way. So I think it's really important to know that, because Brazilian funk is really popular, and it's now popular among the elite as well of the society, but it's often also criminalized. You see people being racist towards funk singers, or being having prejudice towards them. And during Carnival, people celebrate it. People are free to dance. People are free to sing. People are free to drink. People are free to kiss. People are free to express themselves. So it's a really important moment in Brazil because of that too.
And it's interesting because you speaking about funk being criminalized. That samba was once criminalized as well.
That is true. It did.
Yeah.
It was very popular in the morros in Rio, especially, and that's usually where like favelas are located. And it's always been a case of. It's funny how history repeats itself in some kind of sense. And I do think it's a sense of getting to express yourself, and people are often quick to sexualize funk. And it's a very sexual type of music, but at the same time, I think it's important to imagine the confidence that also evokes in the community. And I think making sure that you have, a distinction between what's okay, which is to dance however you want, to dress however you want, to be free to do whatever you want, and what you can do to others. I think that is very different. You're not, just because someone's dressed a certain way doesn't mean you can touch them a certain way. And in fact, Flo and Lisa can definitely talk more about that, because we have an initiative for Braguncinha.
Should I talk about it now, or should I wait for?
No, definitely. That's a fantastic segue.
Okay, yeah. So we're having for Braguncinha, we're partnering with two groups. The first one is the Grupo Mulheres do Brasil, so the Brazilian women in London, and we're having a campaign against harassment because, as Olivia was saying, in Brazil during Carnival, as people can express themselves, as people can dress the way that they want to, it is also the time where harassment increases a lot, due to many reasons and to lack of education. I'll not go
Let's
into
not
that.
let's not open that can of worms.
I will not go into that, but it's a time where harassment increases a lot, unfortunately. So we do not want that in Braguncinha. And so we're partnering with them to have a campaign against harassment. We're having like posts about it on our Instagram pages. We're gonna have posters that on the day. We're gonna have specific people that you can go to in the party, during the party, if something happens that you're not happy with, and we will deal with that. We will do whatever is needed to make people feel safe and protected. So we're having that during Carnival, during Braguncinha. And the other organization that we're partnering with is an NGO from Brazil called Absorvendo Amor, which basically means absorbing love.
Who the founder is actually
from
UCL,
yeah.
Which is the university that I'm representing today.
Yeah.
And it's all quite exciting. And
it's very exciting because so she's a Brazilian student from UCL, and she has this NGO that fights against pure poverty in Brazil. And so what we're doing with them is that, of course, we're promoting their work, and part of the revenue that we get from the event, we're donating to them to help the project, to help the NGOs, to help the communities that they serve, that they help. And so these are two important projects that we have with Braguncinha. It's not just about celebrating Carnival, it is also about that, about dancing and having fun and drinking and being with your friends. But it's also the social importance of Carnival, that we want to make sure that women mainly are safe in that environment with the anti-harassment campaign, and that we can provide something to our society as well in Brazil through the NGO that we're helping.
I'm really glad that you brought that up, and I think in having said that, what was it like coming up with this project? What were the different avenues that you had to go through? How did you contact this NGO? How did Braguncinha come about, essentially?
We have the most amazing person coordinating all of this and coordinating us being here today as well. Unfortunately, she is not here today.
Because she's real.
She's in Rio. She's quite lucky.
She's enjoying Carnival.
And Leticia, so Belén.
Yeah, she's the treasurer.
She's
from
LSC's
the LSC
treasurer.
Society.
She has been stringing all of this along. She's been managing the project, and she really wanted to touch on that and on all the aspects that make Carnival. And she definitely wanted to represent Brazil's culture in a safe way, and trying to also bring the culture and tackle the more negative sides, because every coin has two sides. That negative side of things that isn't always spoken about, especially in Brazil.
Yeah, and of course we're doing that. So Braguncinha is a project from LSA Brazilian Society, UCL Portuguese Speaking Society, and KCL Brazilian Society. So it's the three biggest universities in London organizing this event. And so it came about, last year we had an event together already during the World Cup. We watched the games and everything. We had watch parties together. And of course we wanted to have a carnival party, and we said, like, why not have it together? It's gonna be the biggest party. So we had that idea of doing it together. I think it's part of the carnival aura or feeling.
Vibe,
to be together, to celebrate together. It had no reason to be separated. It had no reason to be like a competition of parties. So it's better to be together, and it's gonna be great. And of course, Leticia, as you said, is the one that is leading everything, because she's great. She's
the head of the project, and she absolutely
really wants a carnival. So
yes, you can tell, because everything that's happened, we just go yes ma'am. And
Wow.
she's done an amazing job, and I cannot express how much she's done, and it's just, I think it's important to highlight that, because she's such a force. She's a force of a woman. Oh my god, she got her head on the carnival.
I think the good thing with Leticia is that she really challenged like the barriers of the project, because I think it was really nice to mention the World Cup, because it was a time that we love football, and we were all homesick in the first few months studying in London. I think for most of us it was like our first few months, and we decided to get together to watch the games. And I think it was the first thing, like we challenged like the project of the World Cup as well. Oh, let's do something small, let's meet up in this place. No, we all went up, we ended up in a venue with like free food and like lots of people, 200 people were attending. So like, I think let's just say like, what? So why?
If we got this sorted,
why not go bigger?
Let's go bigger. Let's hire a venue. Let's do the maths, and for sure we will be able to host a big event. And it's being like that, and we're coordinating like loads of different groups. There's a communication group, so people doing like the advertisement, decoration group, money, like everything.
And Leticia's in all of them.
And Leticia's like watching all of them.
I do not know how she does it. It's incredible.
But it's it's interesting because it's important to say that because it's a huge party, we have like to coordinate between a live band, we have to coordinate with a venue,
With the student unions.
what is allowed. Yeah, with the student unions from 3 universities. We have 2 DJs. We're having Brazilian cocktails. How are we gonna do that? We have Brazilian finger food. How are we gonna do that? Who's gonna be scanning the tickets? Who's gonna advertise? Like everything.
Hours and hours of meetings have gone into this.
Yeah,
and
and
hours and
money,
hours of
and we have to
planning.
deal with money and everything like that. So funds, and it's
been
stressful, but it's rewarding, and also because every time that we get good news, it's always rewarding.
A celebration.
And I think Carnival and Braguncinha will be like a celebration of all the good news that we got
Yeah.
throughout these last couple of months.
Brazilians love an excuse to celebrate.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
We do, yeah.
So this is a wonderful excuse to celebrate, and definitely after some gloomy months of
Winter.
winter strikes, deadlines. March comes along. You know, you still have more deadlines, but it'll give you that break of wow, fun, color. I think one of the things I miss the most about Brazil is how everything is more colorful, at least. The warmth as well, of course.
Not only like the real weather, but like between
The
people as well.
the
So-
people, and I think that's something that's going to be completely different. And if you think you won't fit in because you're not Brazilian, that is
Yeah, that's not true.
such a lie. I think we get to say no. We welcome everyone. We will receive you with open arms,
As you are.
drinks, food, and we're just gonna have a fun night for you to be able to experience Carnival as we do in Brazil,
Yeah.
but without having to, pay for a flight.
That's
like all my friends about it, because everyone was telling them like, oh, Brazil's amazing, the food's amazing, the drinks are amazing, everyone's amazing, but I can't bring it to them in any way. And so it's like seeing that there's in salgados and different cocktails, and like you have to come and you have to experience all of this because this is an incredible culture.
This is something as well. I think we're doing this for all the Brazilians that are in here and have been through these months of winter. Also, all the political thing that's going on in Brazil is not easy to handle with. All the deadlines, essays, formatives, summatives, and
Just
also for everything that we're handling with, and also like to our foreign friends, because sometimes we speak a lot about our culture, about the places that we come from, but we have no way of like taking them there. It's not like £20 flight, So it's very important to us. I think we will be bringing friends from all over the world, and like as they welcome us in their culture, as like many British friends have all welcomed us in their culture, we will be able to do that in London and welcome them to our culture, our side of things. So our cocktails, salgado, which is so difficult to explain. Like, no, it's salgadinho. You have no idea what it is. You need to know what it is. Or like the sacolé as well, the beer from our group called geladinho.
Yeah. She calls it wrong, but
Yeah, like it's something so cultural that we have like different names all over the country for that. So
and we have rivalries.
They're from Rio.
Yeah.
I'm from São Paulo.
oh, you say geladinho as well.
No,
So
when
that's
you guys
the
were
thing.
like sacolés, I was like, what is a sacolé? So I go into Google and I'm like, sacolé. And I'm like, oh my god, they're saying geladinho. Like, I see.
I see.
I see.
So it's going to be, I think, a good opportunity to welcome them.
I'm so excited about this.
Me
I think
too.
it's gonna be so much fun, and I can't wait for it. I cannot wait for it.
And can each of you tell us one thing in particular you're excited for people to experience, whether it be a type of music or a type of celebration, anything like that, and why you love it
Okay.
It's
One
difficult
thing.
to choose one.
Yeah, one thing is hard.
You can say multiple if you want.
Yeah, no, because
Hold out a list.
as they were saying, Lisa and Olivia were saying, Carnival and Brazilian culture is so warming and so welcoming that I want people to experience Brazil in general. I want people to understand how friendly we are. I want people to understand like how fun and happy our music is. I want people to feel welcome and to feel safe in the environment. And I want people to feel one thing that is really important for Carnival, and it was part of our advertisement for the event, is that the year can only start after Carnival. And this in Brazil is a huge thing. Like, we did an advertisement, a post, like inspired by the dude with the sign meme, that it says like Carnival, the year doesn't start until after Carnival. The year doesn't start until after Carnival, because this is a very important thing in Brazil, is that we cannot start the year prior to Carnival, because that's the moment where we will leave everything, that we will celebrate, that we will get this stress out, and then we can go back to our life of 9 to 5 work, of studying, of deadlines and everything. And I think many deadlines that we had this year in January, in February, they were from the last term. And we're still preparing to find the next deadlines. So hopefully our foreign friends will have this idea also of, okay, I'll have Carnival and then my year will start. Because this is huge for Brazil. I'll leave everything there. I'll celebrate, I'll dance, I'll drink, I'll be with my friends, and then I can focus on everything else. So I feel if I could choose one thing that I want people to experience and that I love about Brazilian culture and Carnival, is that the year does not start in Brazil until after Carnival. We have to have that celebration for our year to start.
Absolutely. So I think I'll go along the same lines as Tom. I want them to experiment Brazil in general. I know that we can bring everything. I know that we can stop everything and give a lecture of 2 hours on how the parade works and how it's a competition and have different school of samba and like the lyrics that have a meaning. Hello everybody, like this is how these things happen. No, wait a minute, in Olinda that's different. Like we can't really do that. So we are going to do it in like in our way, just being there, just celebrating, and I just want them to feel everything. And whatever, I particularly am missing some samba, especially live. We were talking, like chatting before we started the recording. I was like, oh, I'm more a rock person. He was like, oh my God. But I think that we're from Rio and even living from São Paulo, I think when you listen to traditional music, that really takes you back.
It really
it's
does.
An emotion. I was watching the parades the other day, like with my cell phone at home, and that gave me it brought tears to my eyes. And I think I would like people to experiment this new rhythm and feel that with their bodies, and the sensations, experiment the food, the cocktails, and let the music, take them to.
Yeah. And you don't need to be a professional samba dancer to dance to samba. I'm awful. I'm awful.
Really?
You just move your hands and that's all right.
So the reality is that Brazilians, like most Brazilians, cannot dance samba.
That's just confident. We pretend. We just pretend.
We just have fun.
And people believe it.
Yeah, we just have fun.
Yeah, I guess I totally agree with them. I think the environment, the people, the culture, that's something I'm super excited for. But to give also something else, I guess. The color that I was talking about, I think it's like just a splash of color. It's glitter, it's fun. I love, and it's always a disaster, but I love trying to teach my friends how to dance to funky. And it's always a disaster. And I'm like, okay. So I think it will be funny to attempt to do that, but actually with like funky playing, because usually it's like one song which is like Olha Explosão, and it's like after that's done, like they haven't learned yet.
Maybe we can send you some videos from the Carnival, from the World Cup watch parties, because after the World Cup, after the games, there were Brazilian parties, and so we were dancing funk and
there
everything.
Was samba,
so
funky.
You have like video clips of us dancing funk and everything, like having good times and being together and drinking beer, and I think maybe that's a good thing for you to put
drinking caipirinha, which there will be.
Yeah.
For the first 150 guests.
Yeah.
So arrive early.
Yeah.
Yeah. First 150 guests, you get a caipirinha.
A free caipirinha.
A free caipirinha. You can then order.
You can then pay.
You can then order.
Possibly you will.
You will.
In love with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My pre's are caipirinha. I love that.
Thank